Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Practical Pet Chat. Lorin, it's a new year. Everybody's resetting, getting going. I think there is so much that has to be re-examined. I think it all starts with expectations. Where does it start for you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, a new year where you get to rethink how you're going to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, and especially with regard to your pets. Everybody wants to do things like work out and lose weight and that sort of thing. And I first thought to me always comes to me as, how do we do that with the pets? Because they kind of just go from year to year, and seems like some of them get bigger every year instead of going through that reset. And but part of it too is you have to reset and reprogram how you're going to think about it. What your expectations are, what you want to see happen, how you're going to get there, who are you going to get to help you achieve those goals, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it too is what and who you're listening to. It's a great time to be re-examining that because things change, people change, websites change, experts change. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We get more information, we become more knowledgeable. And as you're saying, as we look at what's going on with our pets, it's really important too that folks realize what worked last year, or maybe at that age range or that style for that pet, may need to be re-examined on the go forward for this year. And I know, we talk about trends constantly. And, I chuckle because you and we go on for days about, oh my God, the trend in this year was that, the trend in that year
Hmm.
was this. And sometimes trends become mainstays because they were more than a trend. What I'm talking about is those trends that was like everybody was on top of this, and it was that shooting star that flamed out because the hype just did not deliver on the promise. And
Right.
so when I talk to people, a lot of times, especially these days, they're going back to, well, I saw this, and last year, it was like all over. I don't want to say what social media networks and whatnot, but it was all over my social feed. It's like, yeah, okay. But was that promoted? Was it paid for? Or was it just
Right.
natural where people were just, I'm getting great results? Because if I'm getting great results, hell yeah, I want to share that. I want other
Sure,
people
but
to know that.
how do you
Um,
believe it? How do you know whether to believe it or not? Because honest to God, it's like no matter what you click on, there's 25 comments of, yeah, I just got that. It works great. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. And it almost applies across the board to all kinds of things. And so now you never know if you can believe, what you're reading, what you're looking at, who the experts are, where the facts come from. One of the things that I think people need to reset when they're resetting their expectations is understanding that maybe these people over here that you've been following, they were great for the animal that you had, but you got this new animal and maybe
and
someone better, different, who delivers a message differently, who's more geared to the kind of pet that you just got. Whatever it is, nobody is an expert in everything. I mean, nobody knows everything about everything. And I think that it's really smart to take information from a number of sources, preferably not so much staying within that circle of sources, because all you're going to get is regurgitation of the same information.
right.
And you want to, there's no way you can know whether or not something is accurate or factual or is going to work for you or your pet without being challenged somewhat. So you have to have your expectations and your beliefs challenged a little bit. And what I mean by that is a good example is I had a client that found her way to me early on. It was her first dog. I got her into more fresh real food, biologically, species biologically appropriate feeding. And so she got used to how I delivered the message. She had a particular issue going on. Nobody local was able to help her. I wasn't able to help her. And most of it was because she really wasn't listening to the instructions that everybody was sort of giving her. So I hooked her up with another vet who does telemed type consults and a brilliant vet. I mean, really renowned. And she came in, I think, 3 days after that consult, just inflamed because she goes, I can't believe you would send me to that vet. And I said, why? I mean, he's brilliant, really well known and phenomenal vet. And she goes, well, I can't believe it, but he told me that he wanted me to take my dog off of all meat because we knew this was going to be somewhat diet related, right?
Sure.
Off of all meat and start, with from a veg and put him on vegetarian. And I said, that's not what he said. She goes, he did say that. I said, no,
That's what she heard. Yeah.
yeah, I said, what he said was he wanted to take everything down to a baseline and start to introduce things, and try to find out where the issue was, right? And
Yeah.
I had to rephrase that same question because she was so hot about it. And because she had so bought into my, dogs are carnivores
Right.
mentality that she locked into that soundbite and wasn't willing to think outside of that. And I never lock anything into one thing because you have to be able to adjust and adapt, even if it's for a short time. And that's what this vet's
I,
intentions were.
mm, yeah.
Just, I just need you for a short time. We're going to do this. And actually, what it turned out, because I called him after, he's like, okay, what'd you really say? And he said, 2 weeks. I asked her for 2 weeks. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I figured it was something like that. He's like, yeah, this is going to be hard. So, but she stuck it out with him. And don't you know, because she stuck it out with him and finally listened to one person. And I had to sometimes translate in between consults. Um, her dog turned around,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And
we had to get her past that.
woo, you give me just goosebumps here because it's so spot on. Boy, like 25 different instances. I don't even know which one to share, other than to say it's that dogma that people get so latched onto of no, it can't be that, like
Right.
it destroys everything I have now fundamentally embraced. And sometimes it's that notion of, hey, listen, this path or that path, the natural path, the pharma path of it. Sometimes it takes all of it. It takes a reduction. It takes whatever it takes to get your being
Mhm.
reset should be the focus here. How do we get back to a base balance? And then that reintroduction, which is where that was going. I love, oh man, I have had that discussion so many times. And
Right.
the sad part about it too is if you can get out of your own way sometimes. And that's really
That,
what this is. Yeah. It's like, I get it. It's a stressful time. It's a this, it's a that. It's kind of like you saying you'll never eat at my house because I have fed my family
I
the
will not eat at your
yeah.
house.
But I really dove into that in a situation similar to that where it was like, hey, where can I find a protein that does all this? And I had to get out of my own way,
Hmm.
get past my own icks and my own, ooh, I would never eat that. And as you now know, you can't eat at my house because I would eat that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so it's ironic that we, with the best intentions, can sometimes miss the results we're searching for just because we can't get out of the way. I love that as a reset.
Well, and it's also the fact that you get so entrenched in a particular belief system, a particular, way something was presented, and is oftentimes repeatedly presented, that you're so resistant to stepping outside of that because that would be bad. I can remember the client who called me in a panic because she got up to go to the kitchen and she left French fries out and the dog ate some of the French fries. And she just knew she needed to go to the emergency room and oh my God. And I'm like, okay, calm down. And I said, what are we talking here? She goes, what do you mean? And I said, how many French fries? She goes, maybe three. I'm like, okay,
What kind of
And
dog
she
does
goes,
she have?
I mean, it was a medium-sized dog,
Okay, okay,
and I was like, it's three French fries. It's not your dog didn't go out and eat three onions, or something like that. It's three French fries, and what I would do is monitor, see how the kid's doing. Could there be issues? Sure. Could there
right.
be pancreatitis? Sure. Could. But you can't live your life that way. And, dogs are they're dogs. And, really my viewpoint was take French fries with you the next time you go to the kitchen,
Yeah,
so the dog doesn't get them. But but at the same time, it's like she goes, well, I know anything except dog food is bad. I was like, oh God. And then I had to have the whole conversation of, so when you go to the grocery store, oftentimes it would be clients who, had their food at their home when they're on the phone with me. I go get your food, turn the bag around. Let's talk about this. Tell me the first five ingredients in your food. And they do. And I go, okay, where in the grocery store would you buy that for dogs? Like the chicken.
yeah,
What department would have chicken for dogs? Or the broccoli just for
yeah,
dogs? And I, I had a local farmer delivering organic pasture raised non grain soy corn fed chickens and was delivering eggs to the store because I had a lot of people were feeding fresh, right? And
right,
so my thing was I wanted to give them an option. They could get it at the store and the eggs were not chlorine washed or anything like that. So they could have used the egg shells and, the source of calcium. And the number of clients, my well-trained clients that I had spent many, many months training that would come up and go, so these are eggs for dogs? I'm like, oh gosh, no, they're just eggs for everybody. Oh, I could eat
uh,
these too? Yes. But that's what happens. We
right,
just get
right,
so locked into, what we think we're hearing. And if you just reach out beyond that and ask and, start to think the logic of what you're talking about, then it becomes, oh, duh.
right, right. Yeah, no, I hope the audience at home or wherever they're listening to us is getting a good laugh about this as well, because we've all been there.
Yes.
In many instances have been on both ends of that. And what I'll just say is we share it as a fun story of how this can happen to anybody. But again, reset, it's January. You may already need that breath and that moment of, okay, bring myself back. Um, there are so many pathways. And I think this is a great time to call it out before we end this episode here of also over time, that expectation, I'm going to do this one thing and it's going to fix everything is that other area where I see that missed, like they build it up so much and it's like, I need to find the one thing that's going to fix everything. And it's like, whoa, you're missing the forest of the trees here. Take a step back. This didn't happen today. If it did, it's usually something traumatic, and you're rushing to the bed anyway.
Hmm.
So let's get it back in balance, and that's often going to take time. And we don't have the ability. You can read your pets, but they cannot tell you in your preferred language. Look at me being all like sentimental and everything. In your preferred language, yeah, I feel better. Thanks, Ma. Thanks, Dad. It's hey, you start to see the personality come back. You start to see the activity come back. Those things, and that's where I think that other disconnect happens. Is just everybody's so riled up of and three French fries. Okay, what size dog was that? Was that like a 1 pound dog that you're losing your mind over?
Right,
Or
right.
because I get it the opposite. It's like, oh my God, my German Shepherd, my Belgian Malinois just ate. And I'm like, yeah, they don't, their system probably doesn't even know that was so small. So let's calm down there. Flip side is I've been around people who have big dogs that will go to share something they would normally share with their big dog with a tiny dog. And I'm like, oh my
Right,
God, that
right.
that's way too much. So, awareness, grace, like take a breath, people. But yeah, boy, and where
Well,
you're
and the other
getting
part
that
of that,
info is
I was just going to
really
say that.
so important because um, if you didn't learn it last year or the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before, information changes every year.
And so
And
does your pet.
so does your, I was just saying, and so does your pet, and so
Yes.
does your lifestyle, and so does your environment. And so again, the whole reason for today was take a moment, re-examine, reset yourself, reset. Yeah, we talked about it towards the end of last year, starting that planning for next year, taking a look at everything, your environment, your pet, their health, their activity, all the rest of that. Follow
Their
that through,
weight,
folks.
their weight,
Their weight.
their weight.
Wow, is that the camera here is adding at least, I don't know,
No,
12
not
pounds to
you,
me.
their weight.
Wow,
I'm just crushed at when I see dogs that are overweight and people just think they're fluffy,
or
and I'm
big
like,
dogs.
yeah. And it's like, no, it's just short-haired Chihuahua. They're not fluffy. Sorry.
I love you picking on the Chihuahua people. Oh,
No, it's just
man.
the example that came to mind, the short-haired dog. So
All right. Well, on that note, hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on Practical Pet Chat. Our email address is up above. Send us your thoughts, send us your suggestions. We really appreciate you joining us.
see you next time.
The content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as, nor should it be construed as, professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment for your pets. Always seek the advice of a qualified veterinarian with any questions you may have regarding your pet's health or medical condition. Never disregard professional veterinary advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. The hosts and the guests of this podcast are not liable for any actions taken based on the information shared during these episodes. Any reliance on the information provided is solely at your own risk. Copyright 2026 Practical Pet Chat. All rights reserved. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or reproduction of any content from this podcast, including but not limited to audio, scripts, and show notes, is prohibited without prior written consent. The opinions and views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Practical Pet Chat.